Transudative effusion. So kung titignan nyo, if you're gonna look at the question, this is actually a very direct to the point question, wherein tinatanong lang dito kung ano daw yung mga conditions associated lang po with exudate effusion. And given with our choices here, only the malignancy po ang exudative effusion. The rest of it is transudative. Okay? Next question, please. Question number 31. So, Miss Pat, can you answer the question? This is again a easy question. Which crystal causes pseudo-gout now? Oh, di ko na meron.
B, ma'am.
Miss Patty, what's your answer? Narinig mo na ata si Sir Aldrin mo.
B, ma'am.
Letter D? Cholesterol?
White, ma'am. White.
Letter?
Calcium pyrophosphate, ma'am.
Okay, calcium pyrophosphate. So, pag sinabi natin pseudo-gout, usually, ang crystal that we could actually na makita natin with this is calcium pyrophosphate. Okay? And oxalic, tignan nga, yung oxalic acid and calcium oxalate, these two crystals, saan natin ito nakikita, Miss Pat? Nakikita mo din ba ito sa joint? Or saan? Oxalic acid and calcium oxalate. Saan mo siya nakita? Anong body fluid? CSF ba? Saan? Pag sinabi natin calcium pyrophosphate, nakikita natin to sa pseudo-gout, no? Usually sa joints ko, no? Resembling, leading to symptoms resembling gout. Kaya siya tinawag na pseudo-gout. But how about these other two choices here? Two crystals here. We have the oxalic acid and calcium oxalate. Saan naman ito natin nakikita? Sa body fluid. Saan? So these two, oxalic acid po and calcium oxalate are actually seen saan? Sa kidney po. That's why nakikita natin itong dalawang po sa urine. So, hinahanap natin dito is pseudo-gout, which is usually problem po dito sa synovial fluid or joint fluid po. So, these two, oxalic acid and calcium oxalate, these crystals are seen po sa urine kasi kidney stones itong mga to. Well, for cholesterol, this is also can be seen sa urine kasi nga may abnormal, considered as abnormal crystal. And another thing is, nakikita din po no, yung cholesterol sa joint disease. So, nakikita din po siya sa mga joint fluid. Pero, hindi po siya associated sa condition na pseudo-gout. But rather, cholesterol crystals is associated more sa mga rheumatoid arthritis or crystal-induced synovitis. Ulitin ko po ha, which crystals causes pseudo-gout? This is calcium pyrophosphate. The other two choices, letter A and C, are both seen as kidney stones, kaya nakikita natin ito sa urine. For cholesterol crystals, pwede rin siyang makita sa urine, but in terms of synovial fluid, pwede din po siyang makita, but it's not because of pseudo-gout. But rather, we can actually cholesterol due to rheumatoid arthritis or crystal-induced synovitis. Okay, the correct answer for question number 31 is letter B. Number 32. Okay, this is actually a scenario, no? Scenario to. Or meron tayo ditong nagbigay siya ng itsura ng sediment na nakita natin sa synovial fluid under the microscope. Mr. Deva, what is your answer with this? What's your answer with this? So, synovial fluid daw, gumamit ng examine natin ang synovial fluid gamit ang polarized microscope with red compensating filter. Ang crystal crystal daw po na nakita natin with the synovial fluid sample,
Ang cholesterol po.
cholesterol, are you sure? Tignan niyo yung itsura na nakita daw. Yellow when the long axis of the crystal is parallel to the slow vibrating light. When the long axis of it is perpendicular to the crystal appeared. What type of crystal is this present?
Uric acid, ma'am.
Ay, parang galit ka, Miss Diva.
Ay,
So,
uric acid.
actually, yeah. So the correct answer here is uric acid. Okay. One way actually to differentiate po the to differentiate uric acid and pseudogout crystals is by the use of polarized microscopy or polarized microscope with red compensating paper. I repeat po, one way to differentiate um, um, pseudogout crystals, which is calcium pyrophosphate, and uric acid is by the use of polarized microscope with red compensating paper. So, ano po yung itsura nila? Si uric acid, no? Yung uric acid po kasi, when the long axis ng uric acid needle is parallel po siya, sa slow vibrating light, yung crystal po magiging yellow po siya. But naman po, if it's the long axis is perpendicular naman po to the slow vibrating light, nagiging color blue siya. So given our scenario here, ang dinidescribe niya po dito is we have uric acid. In contrast with that, pag si pseudogout crystal, which is calcium pyrophosphate, kabaliktaran lang po ito. Kabaliktaran lang yung effect niya. So pag yung long axis is nag-parallel siya to the slow vibrating light, sa calcium pyrophosphate, magiging color blue po yan. Pero pag yung long axis ng crystal is perpendicular to the slow vibrating light, magiging yellow. Okay, I repeat, by the use of polarized microscopy using a red compensating filter, we can differentiate the two crystals that can be seen in synovial fluid or joint fluid, which is the calcium pyrophosphate, which is nakikita po sa pseudogout, and uric acid for gout. And to differentiate that one, pag daw yung crystal, no, or yung long axis ng crystal is parallel siya sa slow vibrating light, pag color yellow yung lumabas, that is uric acid. Pero pag blue po yung lumabas, that is calcium pyrophosphate. Pag naman po yung long axis is perpendicular na po siya to the slow vibrating light, and naging blue po yung color na lalabas, that is uric acid. But if it's yellow, that is calcium pyrophosphate. Okay? So again, this one, calcium oxalate, this can be seen sa what do you call this? This can be seen sa kidney stone. And then cholesterol, of course, sabi ko kanina, we can see this both in as a kidney stone or sa urine or pwede din sa joint fluid, but more on rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? Question number 30. Ito, you're just gonna choose lang naman with these four statements here, kung ano lang naman yung tama about amniotic fluid bilirubin measured by scanning spectrophotometer. So, what is your answer, Miss Rimorin?
Ma'am A.
Letter A. So, of all the choices here, the correct statement lang po is letter A. For letter B, C, and D, mali na po itong mga choices na to. Okay? Next question, number 34. Reference method daw for determining fetal lung maturity, Miss Palmaria.
Ma'am, D po.
Ano?
Letter D, ma'am. Diba, ma'am?
Hello? What's your answer, Miss Palmario?
Letter B, ma'am.
Letter D. Yeah. So, illustration, no? Yung ginagamit natin or yung reference method natin in determining kung mature na ba yung lungs ng babies, no? Sa tiyan ng mother. Okay, number 35, Miss Aquino. This is about naman pregnancy, HCG levels during pregnancy. Next,
Ma'am, B po.
boy. Letter B. Okay. So, in ectopic pregnancy, serum HCG doubling time is below expected level. So, which of the following statement is correct describing HCG level in pregnancy? So, bakit mali ito? Mali yung letter A. Sabi dito sa letter A, levels of HCG rise throughout the pregnancy. So, hindi, di ba? So, in normal pregnancy kasi, HCG level rise exponentially following implantation and peak at 9 to 12 weeks, 9 to 12 weeks, reaching in excess of mataas talaga siya. Okay? So, usually tumataas yung level ng HCG during trimester. Okay? Pagdating na po niya ng level 4, pagdating na po niya ng pagdating na po niya ng ilang weeks, no, after the 12th week, bumababa na rin, no? The levels fall after the first trimester about 20,000 ml na lang. So, first 9 to 12 week, mataas pa talaga yung HCG level. That's why, during the second month of pagbubuntis ng babae, dun maganda or dun makikita mo talaga if it's positive for pregnancy or not. So, minsan kasi, for example, pag 4 weeks pa lang yun siya, usually too early, no? Too early for the detection. So, minsan, kahit na 1 month na yung babae, hindi pa rin nagpa-positive for pregnancy. It's because hindi pa ganun kataas yung level ng HCG. But rather, tumataas yan, yung pinaka-peak niya is during the 9 and 12 weeks, which is the second month ng pagbubuntis. So, first trimester siya nakikita. And then, after the 12 month, yung later part na ng first trimester, bumababa na rin yung level niya. Bumababa na rin yung level niya hanggang sa magre-remain na siya into a certain level hanggang throughout the pregnancy. Okay, ulitin ko po, tumataas na po yung level of HCG during the 9th and 12th week. So, kaya minsan kahit 1 month na, hindi na mamalayan ng mga babae, no? Or kahit na nag-test, hindi pa nagpo-positive, or hindi pa nagre-react. Kasi nga, it's because hindi pa ganun kataas yung level ng HCG. Maybe hindi pa sapat for the test kit na ma-detect niya yung level na yun. So, 9 to 12 weeks, usually is 2 months. No? Kaya karamihan ng mga babae, 2 months doon na lang nalalaman. No? 2 months or 1 month and 2 weeks, doon na lang nalalaman na, buntis pa. Okay? So, letter A is wrong. So, letter C. No? So, ectopic pregnancy, letter B yung tamang answer, no? Okay. So, for molar pregnancy daw, si letter C naman, molar pregnancies are associated with lower levels than expected for the time of gestation. So, this is also wrong. Bakit? Kasi po, sa hydatid form or mga molar pregnancies or hydatid form moles, usually associated po sila with greatly elevated levels of HCG. Okay? So, ang mali po dito is yung lower. Pag molar pregnancy po, like hydatid form moles, super taas po yung level ng HCG sa katawan. Okay, so ito po yung nagpakamali dito sa statement na to, lower, dapat higher level to. And then, letter D naman po, HCG returns to non-pregnant levels within 2 days following delivery, stillbirth, or abortion. So, this is also a wrong statement. Bakit? Kasi po si serum HCG po can take up to 4 weeks, no, to return to non-pregnant or yung natin level or baseline level following delivery, stillbirth, or abortion. Hindi po days. So, babalik po yung level ng HCG within 4 weeks po yan, or 1 month. Hindi po agad-agad na pagkapanganak mo, after 2 days, mag-normalize na yung HCG level. No. Okay? It will take months or 4 weeks po. Okay? It will take weeks bago bumalik na sa normal level. Okay? Following delivery, stillbirth, or abortion. So the only correct answer here is letter B, which is during ectopic pregnancy, serum HCG time is below expected level. Okay? Next question, number 36. Ano naman daw po yung term? Okay. What is the term when the anterior portion of the headpiece is smaller than normal? So this is very easy question. No? Itsura lang po to ng sperm. Mr. Almodovar. Ano answer niyo dito?
Ma'am, di ko po makita sa screen mo.
Bakit di mo... Di ba gumagalaw? 36?
Ma'am, ano kasi ma'am, nakadata lang ako ma'am.
Okay. Sanson
Ano po ano? Ma'am, C.
Letter C. Okay? When the anterior portion of the headpiece is smaller than normal, the problem here is meron siyang acrosomal deficiency. Okay? Easy question lang to, itsura lang po to ng sperm. Kaya, that's why you need to be familiarized also with the descriptions, paano nyo i-describe yung mga sediments or mga nakikita natin under the microscope. So that you would know kung ano yung term or ano yung result na i-release nyo dito. Question number 37. Which morphological abnormality of sperm is most often associated with varicocele? Pag may varicocele daw, ano daw yung most common na associate na abnormality? May varicocele, vitalis. Sino na yung tinawag ko? Vitalis. Varicocele. Pag may varicocele, usually, anong abnormality ng sperm? Anong makikita natin pag may varicocele yung lalaki? Anong itsura ng sperm?
I'm sorry, lumipad po kasi ako sa nag-aayaw yung ano sa natin.
Miss Vitalis, hindi ko sabi. The correct answer is? How about Miss Osho?
Ma'am, letter C po.
I don't know. Lented neck piece. How about the others? What's your answer? Miss Osho? Miss Osho, what's your answer here? Osho, nandiyan ka pa ba? Pengi ako ng Miss Osho, ano yung answer mo? Uy, Osho, ano na?
Ma'am, ayaw daw po gumamna ng mic niya.
Alo, isulat mo na lang. I-type mo. IB, cytoplasmic droplet below the neck. Aray ko. Below the neck pics. How about the others? Anong answer nyo? Oh, Miss Torres, go. Push mo yan.
Ma'am, letter A po.
Ayan, letter?
A, ma'am.
Letter A. So, the correct answer here is letter A. Okay? Pag may varicocele yung lalaki, usually ang abnormality ng sperm na makikita natin is tapering of the head. Kaya nga, pag may varicocele yung lalaki, may varicocele yung lalaki, mostly infertile sila. Kasi nga, yung sperm, yung itsura ng sperm, may tapered yung ulo ng sperm. Di ba remember, ang magpe-penetrate sa egg ng babae is yung head ng sperm. So, kung may tapering of the head, so hindi yan makaka-penetrate ng maayos. Hindi niya mapapenetrate. Kaya nga, most common cause of infertility is varicocele. Kasi ang makikita nating abnormality ng sperm is yung problem niya is nasa head, which is head is used for penetration. Okay? So, yeah, that's it. The right answer is letter A. Number 38. What's your answer here? Which of the following semen analysis result is abnormal? Ay, sorry. Wala pala akong tinawag. Naghihintay ako ng estudyante.
Letter A po, ma'am.
Letter A. We. Bakit mo nasabing letter A?
The normal volume for semen is 1.5 to 5 ml po.
Okay, yeah. So, which of the following semen analysis result is abnormal? So, yung volume ba ng 1 ml, liquefaction din 40, pH 7.6, and motility 50% progressive. So, correct naman. The correct answer or the abnormal here is letter A. Okay, tama din naman sinabi ni Jory, wherein the typical normal volume of semen should be 1.5 to 5 ml. So, measure nyo na yung semen yung mga boys, baka kulang kayo dyan. Kulang kayo dyan, kulang na din yung kulang na din yung sperm, kaya mahirap makabuo. Aga rin yung reason. Okay? So, yung liquefaction time naman, usually 30 to 60 minutes, diba? Mag-liquefy na yung semen in room temperature. And then, yung pH naman po, okay, yeah, normal din naman po ito, 7.6. And of course, progressive movement, at least 50%, diba? Yung, 50% yung motility. So, yung abnormal findings po natin dito, kulang po no, yung volume, which is 1 ml, below normal per pH. Okay? So, siguro, pwede rin, no, yung sa maybe normal naman talaga yung volume ng lalaki, but because of insufficient or incomplete ejaculation, pwede rin mag-cause na mababa yung volume. Excuse me, wait. 39. Ano daw yung inaccurate na procedure dito in terms of sample collection and processing? Miss Bumongaw. Sorry. Miss Bumaga. Bumaga, what's your answer here? Until 5 lang tayo, we could end at 5 na siguro. Kasi may klase na rin ako at 4:30. Mag-extend lang ako ng until 5. Bumaga, what's your answer? Bibilisan ko na. Ms. Bumaga, which of the following sample collection and processing conditions will lead to inaccurate seminal fluid analysis now? A. Sample stored at room temperature for 1 hour before fasting. Letter B. Sample collected following coitus. C. Sample collected without an anticoagulant. D. Sample collected without use of a condom. Or ejaculation po. Ano daw yung
B?
dito? Ay, hindi. Ano daw yung condition dito that will lead to inaccurate seminal fluid result? Miss Bumogaw.
Ma'am B po.
Letter B. Bakit? Bakit B, Miss Bumogaw? So, correct naman siya no letter B. So, isa-isahin natin. So, bakit hindi letter A, hindi letter C, and hindi letter D, why it is letter B? So, sabi dito, sample stored at room temperature for 1 hour before testing. I think, viable pa rin naman, no? Viable pa rin naman, okay pa rin naman yung specimen natin. Kasi, ideally naman, pag semen analysis, usually within 1 hour naman siya pinapasok. And based dito sa statement natin, for 1 hour lang naman. Hindi naman siya nag-exceed into 1 hour 30 minutes or 2 hours. Pag 2 hours, of course, hindi na siya magandang specimen. Okay? Of course, it will lead na to an accurate result because there will be mag-liquefy na yung semen natin, yung semen ng patient natin, and then yung motility ng sperm mawawala na din. But based sa statement natin with letter A, within 1 hour naman. So, okay pa rin siya. So, it will not lead to inaccurate result. For letter C naman, no, the letter C naman collected without an anticoagulant. So, of course, di ba, yung semen analysis collection natin or yung yes, kailangan hindi pwedeng gamitan, lalo na pag yung itsura or yung physical na itsura ng semen yung tingnan natin, hindi natin kailangan ng anticoagulant. Okay? So, anticoagulant is typically not required for semen collection. Okay? So, letter C is not actually a major problem, no? So, hindi siya mag-lead ng inaccurate result. For letter D naman, sample collected without use of condom or ejaculation. So, nagsarili yung lalaki. And since condom, may like lubricant ang condom, which will affect with the result later on. But since ang statement natin without use, so hindi daw gumamit ng condom, wherein ang ginamit niyang method of collection here is ejaculation, which is, ito yung pinaka-preferred, no? Or ejaculation or masturbation, Masturbation without the use of condom. So, masturbate siya, which is better, no? And ito naman yung preferred collection natin for seminal fluid. So, hindi rin magiging problem yung statement better dito. Okay? So, if ever man gagamit ng condom, you make sure lang na for semen analysis, make sure lang, of course, non-spermicidal or walang spermicidal agent yung condom na yun. Para, of course, hindi mamatay yung sperm. So, A, C, and D is actually okay lang, no, na method or collection or condition. But letter B kasi sample collected following coitus. Pag sinabi natin coitus, ilalabas, di ba, after the sexual intercourse, ilalabas or puputok kasi inside ng babae, inside the vagina ng babae, and then saka i-collect, which is, of course, hindi magandang way of collection for seminal fluid analysis. Okay? So, ulitin ko po, pag sinabi natin coitus, this refers to sexual intercourse. Okay? Or the act of sexual reproduction where the male sperm is ejaculated sa reproductive tract ng babae, saka i-collect. So, of course, it will lead to inaccurate results sa seminal fluid natin dito. Okay? Kasi syempre may mga vaginal fluid, di ba? May vaginal fluid din naman ng mga babae which will interfere with the later, or with the result dito. Okay? So, letter B po, sample collected following courses. And hindi dapat agad-agad kinok kasi yung vaginal fluid na meron sa babae. So, the preferred actually na collection is masturbation for semen analysis. Question number 40. Uy, question number 40, what's your answer? Which condition is most often associated with gastric? Kalnakatakin. Kalindas. Kalindas. Letter B. Bakit letter B? Bakit hindi letter B? Bakit hindi letter C? Bakit hindi letter D? Miss Convenience. Okay. So, tama naman siya. Condition associated with gastric ulcer is H. pylori infection. So, dapat dito, whenever you are answering, hindi lang basta alam nyo na, H. pylori nagkakos ng cancer. You need to know also yung reason bakit hindi siya cancer of the stomach, bakit hindi the Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, bakit hindi siya pernicious sa kanila. Okay? You need to know din kung paano irrationalist ito ka ako. And you need to know din, and you need to understand din, no? And understand din yung mga choices that we have here. So, correct, H. pylori infection yung gastric ulcers. And so, diba? So what? So, bakit hindi siya cancer of the stomach? So, pag sinabi kasi natin, when we say gastric ulcers, these are open sores. Open sores or erosions po na makikita natin sa lining ng stomach or upper part ng small intestine ng patient natin or the duodenum. Okay? Pag cancer of the stomach po kasi, usually, gastric cancer naman po can sometimes lead po to symptoms that overlap with those gastric ulcers, such as abdominal pain, meron po abdominal pain or indigestion. No? However, sa gastric cancer po kasi, hindi po siya nagpo-cause ng gastric ulcers directly. Okay? So, sa cancer of stomach or gastric cancer, hindi siya usually nagpo-cause ng gastric ulcers. Okay? Si Zollinger-Ellison syndrome naman po. Condition naman po to caused by the gastrin-secreting tumors, no, or gastrinomas na nag-lead po into excessive gastric acid production. So, kung excess acid na to na na-produce sa mga may Zollinger-Ellison syndrome can cause multiple peptic ulcers naman po. Okay? So, ulitin ko po, pag Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, multiple peptic ulcers naman po. Okay? And usually, ang tinatamaan naman po ng part, no, ng intestine natin is saan? Jejunum. So, si gastric ulcers, usually, ang tinatamaan niya is sa duod. But si Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, peptic ulcers, which is seen in jejunum. Okay? Si pernicious anemia, of course, ito problema naman to sa dugo. Anong connection niyo with gastric ulcer? Okay? And then, ang natitira na lang po ng pagpipilian is H. pylori infection, and this is the correct answer, which nagpo-cause siya ng gastric ulcers sa duodenum. Okay? Sa H. pylori infection, just a quick recap lang with your bacteriology. This is actually a bacteria, no? Bacteria na nakikita natin sa digestive system natin, no? That causes gastric ulcers. Okay? So, anong ini-infect niya? As a wall lining ng stomach, no? Causing inflammation and damage in the mucosa which lead sa pag-develop ng ulcers. And usually sa duodenum. Okay? So, letter D. Next question. 41. Given the following urinalysis results, we select the most appropriate course of action. So, ito yung chemical results niya. pH 6 and 5, glucose negative, negative, negative. Microscopic finding, mucus low small, ammonium urate large. So, what will you do as a medtech, Miss Bayota? Kung ikaw yung medtech dito, anong gagawin?
Ma'am, di po.
B. Report the results assuming acceptable quality control. How about the others? Anong gagawin niyo? Miss Ignacio, kung ikaw yung medtech dito. Miss Ignacio, what would you do if you will be the medtech? Kasi ito yung result. Are you gonna report this result as well? Because you need to know how to correlate the chemical result from your microscopic finding. Miss Ignacio, what would you do?
Narinig po.
Ano?
Narinig.
Ano?
Narinig po.
Miss Ignacio, mahina. How about the
Ma'am,
other?
A po.
Letter?
Letter A.
A. Letter A. Why? Bakit i-check mo yung urine pH?
Ma'am, kasi yung urate, ammonium urate po.
Ano?
Narinig po ba?
Yeah, go.
Yung sa may... Kasi ammonium urate.
Okay. So, if I will be the medtech here, ang gagawin ko po is letter D. Okay? Recheck urine pH. Why? Sa letter D kasi, report this result as assuming acceptable quality control. I don't think na okay yung result na lumabas given with our scenario here. Letter C, repeat the reagents rip test to confirm ketone result. I think trace naman to. So, hindi naman siya ganun kataas. Siguro pag 3 plus 2, pwede pa. Because a new sample and repeat, anong nakalagay dun? The urinalysis. Okay? So, why would I recheck urine pH? So, if you're gonna look at the chemical result from the microscopic finding, so you need to know how to correlate that. So, sabi dito sa pH natin that we have here is 6.5. So, this means that the pH of the urine is acidic. But upon checking the microscopic finding, may nakita tayong ammonium urate or ammonium biurate. So, enlarged. So, meaning madami. So, anong indication nito? So, pag sinabi kasi natin ammonium biurate or ammonium urate, usually saan natin ito nakikita? Anong pH? Alkaline. So, ammonium biurate can only be seen, di ba? Can only be seen in alkaline urine. So, wala kang makikitang ganito sa acid urine sample. But given with the chemical examination, acidic yung urine specimen. So, nung gagawin nyo, if ito yung nakita nyo, of course, you need to recheck kung tama ba yung pH ng urine sample. And if may pagkakamali or mali yung nalagay nyo, then you could recheck it and naging alkaline na, then you could report it. Okay? So, you need to calculate the from So, ulitin ko po, given with our scenario here, the pH that we have here is acidic, but the microscopic findings, especially the crystal that we have here, which is ammonium biurate, and actually in large amount ito, ay nakikita lang po ito sa alkaline urine. So before po tayo mag-ask or mag-request ng new sample, we need to check first kung saan tayo nagbaka. Okay? Kasi hindi naman po pwedeng, let's say for example, kakabigay lang ng patient ng urine niya for 10 after 15 minutes, magpaparequest ka na naman ng sample. Hindi lang po pwede. Siyempre, the patients as well, mainis din yung mga yan, yung mga pasyente. Bakit hindi ba kaya hindi ng sample? Ba't kuha kayo ng kuha? Ayaw din nila. Okay? So, hindi naman po pwede yung just because patient natin sila. Whenever we want to collect sample kasi nagkamali tayo, magko-collect lang tayo. Remember, hindi lang natin sila pasyente, but rather, hindi lang natin sila pasyente, but rather kliyente. They are also our clients. Okay, tandahan mo yan. Okay? Hindi naman po kung kailan nyo lang gusto mo pa-request. Because na kayo ng-request. Baka tanungin pa kayo ng doctor niya. Okay? So, ang gagawin ko sa medtech is of course to recheck the urine pH. Baka nagkamali lang ako in terms of the urine. Okay? Next question. So, can you please answer Miss Venus Valles? 42. Anong answer mo? Bilisan na natin para matapos natin hanggang 80 man lang.
Ma'am, B.
Letter?
B po.
Letter E? Ang buti. Ano answer mo?
B, ma'am.
Letter B, repeat the WBC count. So, tingnan natin ha. Urinalysis result from a 35-year-old woman are specific gravity 1.015, normal, protein, normal, ketone, normal, mucosate asterisk, meron daw siyang WBC, pH, okay, glucose, pulmonary contact, and then blood, okay. But upon microscopic finding, RBC daw niya is 5 to 10, high power filled, WBC is 25 to 50. So, select na mo sa appropriate course of action. So, if we're gonna look at the chemical result from the microscopic finding, ano pagkakaiba dito? Sabi dito, leukocyte, no? Leukocyte, moderate. So, expect natin, if moderate po sa leukocyte, we could actually see WBCs under the microscope. So, meron na ang WBC. So, anong problem with the chemical and microscopic? Anong yung may disparity? So, actually, it's the blood. So, hindi natin i-repeat po yung WBC kasi wala namang problem with the WBC. But rather, yung merong disparity or discrepancy is between blood sa chemical examination and RBCs during the microscopic. Kasi yung blood mo during the chemical examination, negative po yan. So, pag negative, we're expecting na wala po tayong makikitang blood or RBC sa microscope. But dito sa microscopic finding niya, 5 to 10 po yung nakita daw niya per high power. Okay? So, anong gagawin mo as a medtech? Of course, you will not repeat the WBC kasi there's no problem naman with the WBC. If you're gonna compare, no? Kung i-compare natin yung chemical and microscopic, both naman may RBC lumalabas. Kasi leukocyte, WBC moderate, WBC microscopic, meron. Report on result except blood. Bakit? Hindi naman po pwedeng nagre-report kayo tapos kulang ng blood. Hindi naman po pwede yun. Kasi this is urinalysis. Doon kailangan kompleto yung result natin. And request a list of medications. So, are you gonna isa-isahin pa, no? Yung kung ano yung medication ng pasyente mo. And of course, you need to ask his or her physician as first, no? Kung pwede bang mag-ask ka ng list of medication. Siyempre, it will take time. So, the best course of action to do is to check the blood reaction. Okay? If negative, so, ulitin nyo lang po yung blood reaction using the script. So, kung negative po talaga, if negative yung nakita nyo, then look for body mass. Baka po kasi, yung nakita nyo under the microscope is not actually RBC, but rather it's AIDS. Okay? baka naman po yeast yung nakita at hindi po RBC. So, yun din po yung isang titignan nyo ha. So, nagkakaroon ng false positive result sa microscopic findings because minsan napagkakamalan nating RBC ang mga body disease. So, if negative po talaga sa blood, then baka body disease yun. Okay? So, the correct answer here is letter A. You check the blood reaction and if negative po talaga, look for body disease. Kasi baka napagkamalan pong RBC ang mga body disease. Okay? Next, number 43. Carvajal, what's your answer? As she discusses the occurrence in the family of this is a very easy question.
Ma'am, letter C po.
Letter C. No, urobilinogen. Urobilinogen, bilirubin, both of these analytes are very sensitive to light. So, pag hindi po natin na-process within a given period of time, within 1 hour, what will happen with samples containing urobilinogen and bilirubin, magiging dark brown na po yung color niya. And ayan po yung nangyari dito sa scenario na. Okay? So, ketone, hindi naman nagpas ng color change yung ketone. You could say it as trace as well. You could say it as maybe pwede po sa turbidity. No? Nagkakasya ng turbid na itsura ng urine sample. But in terms of the color, I don't think so. As well. No, hindi rin naman. So, urobilinogen lang naman yung analyte na natitira. So, correct answer is urobilinogen. 44. Cervantes. Patient's random urine consistently contains a trace of protein but no CAS, cells, or other biochemical abnormality. The first voided morning sample is consistently negative. These findings can be explained by
Ma'am, I think letter C.
letter C, orthostatic proteinuria. Okay? Normal diurnal variation, hindi naman. I don't think it is early glomerulonephritis. No? Kasi yung trace naman na result, trace of protein but no CAS, cells, or biochemical abnormality. So it will not give early glomerulonephritis. Kasi pag may glomerulonephritis yung patient natin, hindi lang dapat trace of protein. Dapat meron na rin tayong nakikitang CAS, cells, and crystals. Okay? For microalbuminemia, hindi rin naman. So the correct answer is orthostatic proteinuria or postural albuminuria. Okay? So pag sinabi natin orthostatic proteinuria, this is a condition wherein yung proteins kasi or proteinuria nag-occur siya when the person is standing and is absent po in the first morning sample. Pag yung person po is lying down. Okay? So, this condition is typically po benign naman po siya and often na-observe siya sa mga young adults or adolescents. Okay? So, the correct answer is letter C. May orthostatic proteinuria yung patient natin. Hindi po siya glomerulonephritis given with the result na no CAS cells or biochemical abnormality. Okay? Question number 45. Walking. Anong gagawin mo dyan?
A, ma'am.
Letter B, anong gagawin mo? Ano ang gagawin? Letter B, mix a drop of sediment with 1 drop of WBC counted fluid in the exam. Why? Bakit? So, tama naman, no? Letter A. Number B, report the result without further no. If there are disparity or discrepancy between your chemical and microscopic, wag niyo po yung i-release na result pa. So, mind you, there are RMTs na kahit may disparity between microscopic and chemical, nire-release pa rin nila without considering or without thinking na bakit may pagkakaiba. Hindi po pwedeng i-report nyo na lang basta kasi yun yung lumabas. No. You are medtechs, you are knowledgeable with it, so alam niyo po na hindi po nagtutugma yung results niyo from your chemical and microscopic. So, wag niyo pong i-release. Tingnan niyo po, hanapin niyo po kung saan yung may mali. Repeat the blood test and if negative, report the result. So, hindi naman po pwedeng you just gonna if negative. What if, no? Repeat yung blood test pero yun pa rin yung lumabas. So, what will you do? Okay? The leukocyte SRE test is positive, report the cells at WBC. Hindi naman po pwede to. Hindi naman po natin nakitaan na it is a WBC. Okay? Just because nag-positive or there is a reaction with leukocyte SRE in the chemical testing, i-report na natin na yung nakita natin na resembling red blood cell, considered as a WBC. Hindi naman. Because if nag-release po kayo ng result na hindi ko totoo, there will be, of course, mangyayari dun sa patient natin. There will be a misdiagnosis. Ang mangyayari pa, since may misdiagnosis, mamamali din po yung gamot na iti-take ng patient, which will worsen his or her condition. So, pag may mga ganito po, according based dito sa case natin, ayun sample daw, negative blood reaction and 5 to 10 cells per high power field that resembles red blood cell. This is actually in connection with this case study here. So if you would see connected to, so mix a drop of sediment with 1 drop of WBC counting fluid in the exam. Bakit? Bakit di gamit tayo ng WBC counting fluid? Kasi this is to check if yung nakita po talaga natin is red blood cell or body yeast. So ano po kasi mangyayari? If we're gonna drop 1 drop or maglalagay tayo ng 1 drop of WBC, what will happen? If red blood cell po yung nakita natin under the microscope, magsishrink po yan. Okay? Pag nag-shrink siya, then we can say it's an RBC. But if hindi po yan nag-shrink, no? Hindi po yan nag-shrink, meaning body yeast yung nakita natin. Okay? I repeat, pag negative blood reaction pero may nakita ka namang 5 to 10 cells resembling red blood cell, and if hindi ka talaga sigurado, then you can use 1 drop of WBC diluted. Because with the use of this, pag nag-drop ka, ang RBC po mag-shrink. Pag nakita mo po under the microscope, nag-shrink, okay, RBC po. Pero pag nakita mo naman po na hindi, then it is a body yeast. Okay? So, letter A po. 46. Pleural fluid submitted to the lab is milky in appearance. Which test would be most useful in differentiating between a chylous and pseudochylous inclusion? Ano daw? A pleural fluid na sinabmit daw sa laboratory is milky yung itsura na. Ano daw yung most useful na pag-differentiate natin if chylous to and pseudochylous inclusion? Okay? So, what's the correct answer? Letter? Miss Carvajal.
Mom, letter A.
Letter?
Mom, letter A.
Letter? Letter? Hindi na narinig yung letter mo. Letter?
Mom, letter A.
Letter A. Correct. So, pag based na dito sa ating scenario, ang itsura na daw po ng pleural fluid is milky in appearance pa. So, pag milky ng appearance niya, this suggests that the fluid may contain lipids. So, pwedeng may lipid na yung pleural fluid na yun, which are commonly seen in chylous effusion. Okay? And differentiating chylous and pseudochylous effusion, it's important, no? Paano ma-determine natin yung underlying causes nung sakit ng patient natin, and in order for them to guide for it. So, number 1, to differentiate since milky na yung appearance niya, is fluid to serum triglyceride ratio. Tama. Okay? So, ito yung una natin. Okay? So, based pa lang dito sa ating appearance ng pure fluid, so, indication na may lipids na. So, tingnan na natin yung triglyceride ratio ng thymus and pseudotriglyceride. Okay? So, next question, 47. A quantitative serum HCG is ordered on a male patient. The technology should request the order, perform the test report. Ito, very easy to. Letter A po, no? Regardless, no, kung nagpa-HCG testing yung lalaki, it's okay. No, bakit? Kasi po, we could also check if mataas pa yung HCG ng lalaki. Maybe meron po silang prostate cancer. So, merong underlying cancer yung lalaki. So, wag po kayo magtataka if nagpa-request po ng serum HCG sa mga lalaki. Kasi ginagawa din po yan para makita kung meron po silang cancer. Okay? Yeah, or underlying conditions na pwede rin mag-cause na kung anong sakit yan. 48. So, a CSF sample does submitted for cell counts as a visible clot. What is the best course of action? Okay? So, pag ganito na po, no, may visible clot na po, so meaning, tampered na po yung lalo na if kakadating pa lang yung sample, and then nakita na natin na meron na siyang visible clot, maybe the specimen is already tampered or contaminated. So, ang gagawin po natin is to request a new sample. Okay? Mag-request na po tayo ng new sample for CSF. Kasi dapat wala tayong nakikitang clot no, sa CSF. Dugo, pwede pa. Because of traumatic tap. No? Pwede pa yun. Because of traumatic tap or ano yung isa. Pero clot, no. Wala dapat visible clot naman. Okay? Number 49. Number 49. Which of the following is commonly associated with occult blood? O, bakit tayo nagpapa-fecal occult blood test? Bakit natin ginagawa ito? A. Colon cancer ba? Atrophic gastritis, pernicious anemia, or pancreatitis? This is a very easy question. Pag occult blood test, one reason why we do this is to check for colon cancer. This is not a confirmatory testing, but this is a screening test. Parang screen lang. Safest and easiest way to screen if may colon cancer yung patient natin is by the use of fecal occult blood test. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin occult blood, meaning hidden blood po to in stool or other body fluid, that is not visible po sa mata natin. Okay? And we can only detect this, of course, using yung test na ginagawa natin. And one test for that is fecal occult blood test. Okay? So, it is also, pag may occult blood, no, yung patient natin, also a sign of gastrointestinal bleeding and can be associated with a variety of conditions. And the presence of occult blood po suggests may bleeding na po sa gastrointestinal tract yung patient natin. Okay? So, bakit siya colon cancer? O bakit colon cancer? So, colon cancer po kasi is one of the most common causes of occult blood or hidden blood sa stool. So, I repeat, hindi po siya confirmatory but screening po siya. As a colon cancer progresses, it can cause po internal bleeding kasi. So, in the colon, leading to small amount of blood na nai-excrete po natin sa stool sample. Kaya, pag may occult blood, usually colon cancer. So, usually, ang ginagamit nating test naman dito, pwedeng DIAC test, pwede din namang fecal immunochemical test, no, for occult blood. Okay? Question number 50. Which ito, very easy. Anong carbohydrate daw ang ma-measure mo is clinically useful when performing a seminal fluid analysis. So, makakita ka ba ng glucose sa semen, galactose, fructose, maltose? Ano po yung carbohydrate na makikita? Ano yung sugar na makikita sa seminal fluid? It's fructose. I repeat, gusto nyo ng ito, charis. So, dito po, ang 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 sugar po na makikita natin sa seminal fluid analysis is fructose. Yung po kung matamis yan. Okay, number 51. Which of the following stains is used to determine sperm viability? Ano daw dyan? Very easy na naman. Hematoxylin bang gagamitin yung Papanicolaou, methylene 2, or AUCin 1? The correct answer is, of course, si AUCin Y. Ang ginagamit ko is sperm viability. So, ano ba yung sperm viability? Anong test ba to? This is used para ma-assist natin if yung mga sperms, no, na meron yung patient natin is alive, no? Alive pa siya, intact ba, and capable of fertilization, or patay na. Okay? So, yung sperm viability lang, gumagamit siya ng stain, which is AUCin Y, wherein this is used to differentiate if the sperm, no, if the sperm cells are dead or alive. Para makita lang kung patay ba talaga yung kasi there are sperms wherein, di ba may motility yung mga sperms? So there are some sperms na hindi talaga walang movement, walang progression. So, pwedeng naka-steady lang sila. So with the use of sperm viability, we can check if that sperm is naka-intact lang ba talaga siya, hindi lang talaga siya gumagalaw, pero buhay, or talagang patay na siya. So we could, makikita natin na magagamit din natin ito for fertility testing. I repeat ha, sperm viability is to check if alive or dead po yung mga sperms because there are some sperms po na hindi po, wala pong forward progression. Hindi po sila gumagalaw. Supposedly po, ang normal sperm cells, dapat gumagalaw po yan. May forward progression po siya. Para nga po makapunta siya sa egg cell para makapenetrate. Pero kung under the microscope, returns sperm analysis, within sperm analysis, hindi na siya, wala siyang forward progression. Of course, pwede na po natin gamitan ng other testing para malaman if this sperm is alive po ba talaga or wala ng forward progression or dead talaga siya. So, kung dead talaga yung sperm, edi hindi ka makakabuo nun. Okay? So, yeah, ang sperm viability, yung ginagamit natin dito is AUCin Y. Hindi naman tayo gumagamit ng hematoxylin, ibang use naman, ibang stain naman, ay ibang, itong stain na to, hematoxylin, Papanicolaou natin, ginagamit naman na natin siya. So, other, intestinal and other fluids naman. So, si AUCin Y, ang purpose nito, this is a vital stain, di ba? And that only stains po, ang ni-stain lang po niya is dead sperm cell. So, live sperm po will not take up, the AUCin stain and will appear unstained. Pero yung mga dead sperm na po, i-take na po nila yung color nung stain, ng AUCin Y, and will appear po as pink or red dahil damage na po yung membranes nila. Okay? Kaya nakaka-penetrate na po yung stain sa mga dead sperms. On this, so AUCin Y, mas clearer na, no, na makakita, clearer na ma-differentiate if alive ba or dead sperm. Ulitin ko po, AUCin Y, ang unit ko is check mga sperm if po sila or kasi there are sperms na hindi po or walang forward progression. And hindi naman po natin agad-agad pwedeng sabihin na infertile na po agad yung lalaki. That's why we need to do other testing. And one isa dyan is sperm viability. So sperm viability, we are using AUCin Y, which is a vital stain. So dito po, ang i-stain po niya is sperm. Pag dead na sperm, sila po yung but if hindi po, then hindi po alive po yung sperm. And yung dead sperm, ang community is for under the life. Okay? Bibilisan na natin na kasi 4:43 na. We are on sa number 52 pa lang tayo. Sana matapos natin hanggang 70. Given the following data for creatinine clearance, select the most appropriate course of action. So, given with this, gagawin niyo po is to request. So, ang answer lang po sa number 52 is request a new 24-hour urine sample. Number 53. Which, ito, pipiliin niyo lang naman po yung statement, no? That is true. So, actually, mga ganitong question, you just need to find yung word, no? That will make the statement false para malaman mo kung saan na dito yung true. So, isa-isay mo. So, kailangan talagang basahin mo ng buo yung mga question, ay yung mga choices. Kasi, pipili lang naman kayo kung alin dito yung totoo. So, a ratio of 2:1 greater than usually indicates added with pulmonary surfactants to prevent respiratory distress syndrome. And this is actually the correct answer. So, itong B, C, D, mali na lahat itong tatlo. Okay? 54. Acute pyelonephritis is commonly caused by acute pyelonephritis. Pag pyelonephritis, UTI din ito, di ba? Commonly caused, of course, bacterial infection. Pyelonephritis, cystitis, urinary tract infection yung mga. Depende lang kung upper UTI or lower UTI. So, pyelonephritis, of course, since UTI, there is the bacteria, and WBC, so bacterial infection of medullary insert tissue. Okay? Yeah. For number 55, which statement about renal calculi is true? O, ganun ulit. You're just gonna look at the choices. Hanapin nyo lang po kung ano yung tama dito. So, kung maguguluhan kayo with all the sentences here, try nyo yung Tagalog. Okay? Calcium oxalate and calcium phosphate account for about 3/4 of all stones. Uric acid stones can be seen by X-ray. Triple phosphates are found principally in the ureters, and stones are usually comprised of single salts. So, the correct answer po dito is letter A. Kasi si uric, letter A. Kasi si uric acid, pwede din naman natin makita under the microscope. And then stones, ang mga stones, they are not comprised of single salts. They are comprised of multiple salts. Okay? So, letter A po. Calcium oxalate and calcium phosphate account for about 3/4 of all stones. Oh, ito ang dali. Turbidity ng urine sample. So, binigay lang dito ano yung term and kung paano natin i-describe yung term na to. Or paano natin i-report. Okay? Pag clear, as a descriptive grading for urine clarity is described as many particulates or biglated. Ito kailangan yung i-memorize to. No? Kasi, and analyze as well. Kasi hanggang sa mag-RNT na kayo, you're going to report the turbidity and the color of urine sample. So, clear, hazy, cloudy, turbid, milky. So, alam nyo dapat mga description, no? Yung yung turbidity ng urine sample na yun. Pag clear, pag sinabi natin clear, of course, no visible particulate, transparent. Yan. Pag sinabi natin clear, hazy. Ano naman tsura ng hazy? Few particulates being easily seen through the urine. Cloudy. Ano naman tsura ni cloudy? Many particulates print blurred through the urine. Turbid. Ano tsura ni turbid? Print cannot be seen through the urine. And then, milky, precipitated, or big clot. So, kailangan alam niyo po. Here, hazy, cloudy, turbid, milky. Okay? Which of the following describe as mild proteinuria daw? So, mild proteinuria, ako na sasagot ha, para makaabot tayo ng 70 question. Mild proteinuria would be letter B, less than 1 gram per day. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin proteinuria, this refers to the presence of excess protein po sa urine sample. Di ba may small amount naman ng protein talaga na nakita sa urine. Pero pag sinabi natin proteinuria, tumaas siya konti. Or there is an excessive presence of protein sa urine sample. And the amount of protein in the urine can be classified actually into different categories based sa quantity ng protein na nakita. So we have mild proteinuria, mild proteinuria, so, or moderate, and then severe proteinuria, etc. So for mild proteinuria, as I said, the correct answer here is less than 1 gram per day po. Ang excess or yung level ng protein na nakikita sa urine. So usually, yung mga less than 1 gram naman per day, pwede rin siyang makita, no? Hindi naman agad-agad pathologic na yan. So there are some scenarios where non-pathologic yung mga ganitong level ng protein sa urine or mild proteinuria. Ang example dyan is yung orthostatic proteinuria. Diba? Hindi naman siya ganun na pathologic talaga. It's an unpathologic condition. Okay? But, pag mga ganito din, pwede rin cause ng pathologic talaga. Baka early indication na to ng kidney disease or early stage na ng kidney disease. Pwede rin. Okay? Number 58. Which of the following causes false negative ang galing nito in the glucose strip test or urine? Okay. Check kung causes negative reaction. Okay. Take note ha, ang inaano natin is glucose. And false negative po yung magiging reaction daw ng glucose. So ano to? Number 1, oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent pa? High levels of ascorbic acid pa? Refrigerated urine, or high levels of beta-hydroxybutyric acid. So the correct answer here is two of the choices, I think. Wait lang. Wala kasi akong answer dito. So the correct answer here is, I think 2. Yeah, 2 of the choices are correct. So isa-isahin nga natin. Oxidizing agent, nagkakos po ito ng false negative reaction? I don't think so. Kasi ang nagkakos ng false negative reaction is ascorbic acid, no? Nagkakos siya ng false negative reaction, and ascorbic acid is reducing agent. So, reducing agent dapat. So, hindi. So, oxidizing agent, it will not cause a false negative reaction sa glucose strip. Number 2, high level of ascorbic acid, yes. Or reducing agent, yes. Refrigerated urine, I don't think so. It will not affect the glucose. The glucose sa reagent strip. Unless, wala. Unless merong bacteria. Pero hindi rin. Okay? So, hindi rin kasali ang refrigerated, and high level of beta-hydroxybutyric acid or high level of ketones. Take note, beta-hydroxybutyric acid is an example of ketone. So, dalawa lang po yung nagkukos ng false negative. High level of ascorbic acid, which will cause false negative reactions in glucose strip, and high level of ketone or beta-hydroxybutyric acid will also cause false negative. So, refrigerated urine, hindi. Yeah. So, number 2 and 4. Oxidizing agent, hindi. Dapat reducing agent. Okay? 2 of the choices are correct. Okay. 59. Which of the following is detected by reagent strip? Yun din yung inaano ko dito with the refrigerated urine. So, pwede naman low temperature, actually. Okay, I can consider na lang. Check ko na lang yung answer ko kasi B. Pero I will correct na lang for those students. Actually, iniisip ko din yung refrigerated during that time. Kasi nga, low temperature, it will also cause false negative result sa reagent strip. I will consider if your answer is both B or C. So, dalawa na lang. B or C na lang. Okay. Dito, which of the following daw is detected by urine? Which of the following? Which of the following bilirubin, is detected by urine reagents? B1 ba, B2, delta, or all are detected? So, answer lang po is bilirubin 1 or the conjugated bilirubin. I repeat, conjugated bilirubin, yun lang po yung type of bilirubin na pwede po natin makita sa urine. And that is bilirubin 1. Unconjugated is bilirubin 2 and di rin naman delta. Ulitin ko po, bilirubin 1 lang po or conjugated bilirubin lang po ang nakikita po natin sa urine. Kaya yan lang po ang dinadetect ng urine reagent strip natin. Letter A. Okay, number 16. Which of the following is or are true regarding leukocyte reagent strip test? WBC daw, reagent strip testing. It uses indoxyl carbonic acid ester as a reagent. It can detect all types of leukocyte. False negative results are due to high concentration of protein and nice WB cells cannot be detected. So, correct lang po dito is number 2 and number 4. So, letter D. It can detect all types of leukocyte po and pag lyse na po yung white blood cells, hindi na po nade-detect ni reagent strip for leukocyte. So, the correct answer is 2 and 4. Okay? 2 and 4. So, a uniform turbidity that is not subsiding or base for using filters may be due to what? Anyone nga to? Ang answer nyo dito. Uniform turbidity. Anyone from the class? Last 5 minutes. Yes, Miss Galieta.
Ma'am, D, bacteria po.
D, bacteria. Okay? Pag uniform turbidity po, bacteria. Letter D ang answer po natin dito. Number 61. Number 62. Ano daw, which of the following test daw is affected least by standing or improperly stored urine? So, ano ba yung tumataas or nag-i-increase? Bacteria, pH, bacteria odor nitrite. pH, bacteria odor. Improperly stored urine. Letter A ba? Na-affect ba? Of course, no? Protein. Naapektahan yan. pH. How about pH? Disaffected ba? Glucose, of course, no? Lalo na if there is the presence of bacteria dun sa urine sample. Magiging source of food ng mga bacteria yung glucose. So, pag improperly stored yung urine sample, pagkain yan ng bacteria. So, there will be a false negative result na dun sa glucose na. Bilirubin as well, sensitive to sakit. So, disaffected lang po si pH. Letter B, pH. 63. The presence of fetal neural tube disorder can be detected through, ano nang gagawin nyo para makita kung may fetal neural tube disorder yung patient. The correct answer would be, ano answer nyo dito?
Ma'am, yung serum alpha fetoprotein po.
Serum alpha?
Fetoprotein, letter D.
Serum alpha fetoprotein. Yeah, letter D. Increased maternal serum alpha fetoprotein. So, usually, no, pag may may yung mga babies or yung mga fetus inside the womb of the mother. Usually, itong mga disorder, pwede siyang later becomes pwedeng maging defect siya like spina bifida or aneuploidy. So, usually, tinitignan na, no? First trimester pa lang of pregnancy, tinitignan na yan ng OB kung may problem ba with the neural tube yung patient, yung mga babies. Kaya kailangan talaga nag-take ng vitamins para hindi, later on kasi, pag hindi siya nagapan o hindi naayos. Yun nga, pwedeng mag-cause ng spina bifida or anasapali sa mga plants, which is kawawa din. Okay, letter D po ang gagamitin natin. Pellicle formation in the CSF is indicative, very easy. Pag may pellicle formation na yung itsura ng CSF, this is caused by tuberculosis meningitis. Okay? So, pellicle formation kasi refers to the formation po ng thin film-like layer, no? Sorry, dun sa CSF that appear on the surface. So, nakita, thin layer lang that appear on the surface of CSF cells. Okay? And then, the process of pellicle formation po, highly suggestive po yan ng certain type ng meningitis. And particularly po, of course, is tuberculous meningitis or tubercular meningitis. Okay? Si epidemic meningitis naman po, hindi naman po siya, usually nagpo-cause ng meningitis dito is Neisseria meningitis. No? And actually, pag epidemic or bacterial meningitis, hindi naman siya nagpo-cause ng pellicle formation. Hindi siya nagpo-cause ng pellicle formation. Okay, so hindi siya lagi. Influenza meningitis naman, influenza meningitis sometimes pwede siyang mag-cause ng pellicle formation but hindi siya ganun commonly as sheet. Okay? So, false din to, hindi rin siya ganun nag-create ng pellicle formation. For pyogenic naman, this is caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae, meningitis, and usually itsura ng mga CSF dito is cloud naman siya. Cloud, purulent CSF ang itsura rather than pellicle. So, correct answer lang po natin is tuberculosis meningitis. Okay? Bakit nagkakaroon ng parang tuberculosis or thin layer? Because this is due to the presence of high protein concentration po. So, masyadong mataas yung protein concentration, nagkakaroon ng viscosity, nagkakaroon ng thin film-like layer. Okay? Dun sa ng 65. Easy question. The detection of oligoclonal analysis of using solution to the anong ano, of course, baka yung answer nyo dyan letter A po yan. Okay? And I think dun sa paper mo, naulit yung question na to, 64 and 65. O, i-last ko na to. Or i-last for na natin hanggang 7. The peritoneal fluid, this peritoneal fluid may be considered as transudate due to the following, except what's your answer with this? Total protein ba? Less than 50% of serum level? No past cells ba and RBCs? Clear ba and colorless? And usually has clot formation. What's your answer with this? Ito sa ano, paper nyo? Ang wala.
I think meron, ma'am.
Oh, what's your answer with this?
Letter D.
Letter
D. Usually has clot formation.
No? Has clot formation. Okay, letter D po. Kasi naman yung dito with, anyways, number 67. The answer with this. A transudate has this characteristic example. Transudate, exudate. So you just compare it with exudate. Low specific gravity ba ang transudate? Low protein content, high water content, high bacterial content. What do you think? What's your answer?
D po ulit, ma'am.
Except sabi niya. Letter?
D. High bacterial.
Letter D, high bacterial content. So all of these translate po should have a low specific gravity, low protein content, high water content, but hindi po kasali itong high bacterial content. Okay? So in bacterial content is not a characteristic po of translate. Okay? So usually po pag merong infection or bacterial infection or inflammation, usually po exudate na po. Okay? Typically result na po ito ng exudate. So which means na since there is a inflammation na or infection na, there is a higher WBCs, protein, and potentially bacteria. Okay? So, letter D, exam. Tingnan nyo din ha, yung mga exam, sometimes, pag sinusulat yun or nilalagay yan, hindi siya big letters. Dito kasi sa atin, sinasanay kami ni Dean na ilagay na capital letters lahat. Even yung not, yung which of the following is not. Pinaka-capital letters namin yung word na not. But of course, in word exam, hindi po capitalized letter yung mga exam, mga not. So, basahin po yung mga questions. Okay? Okay. Tubeless gastric analysis test is, baka hindi nyo pa ito nakuha. Tubeless is, andito na po, meron na kayong clue dito. Letter B po, tubex. Okay? Letter B po ang answer. Okay? 69. According to the World Health Organization, nomenclature for semen variables. This signifies fewer than 30% spermatozoa with normal morphology. Ano answer nyo dito? According to WHO. Dito ba? Anong answer niyo? Wait, i-confirm ko nga. Tubeless gastric analysis. Double check ko lang yung answer ko sa Ziply. Diagnex. Diagnex, blue test, or azure. Yeah. Sorry. The correct answer for 68. Wait, zip grade. Ay, tama naman dun sa zip grade, Diagnex. Sorry. The correct answer for 68 is letter D. Or azure A to. Diagnex, blue test, or azure A, ion exchange compound. How about this? Thank you for that, Miss Ramirez. How about this? Last two na. Nagmamadali na kasi tayo. Last two, ano sa tingin nyo? According to World Health Organization, fewer than 30 daw spermatozoa with normal morphology. Anong term to? What's your answer with this?
Ma'am, letter C po.
Letter C. Correct. Teratozoospermia. Okay? Pag sinabi kasi natin oligospermia, guys, pag sinabi natin oligospermia, few, no, refers to low or few sperm count, specifically when there is a less than 1.5 million sperm per millimeters of semen. Pag sinabi naman po natin astenozoospermia, dito naman poor naman yung sperm mobility. Okay? Mobility or motility. So ulitin ko, pag oligospermia, low yung sperm count, so mababa yung sperm count. Pag astenozoospermia naman, usually poor sperm motility, less than 40% naman per showing progressive movement. And usually there's sperm movement siya. Okay? Sperm movement, tinatanong natin dito, 30% sperm spermatozoa or morphology. Same goes with oligo. Hindi po natin with dyspermia since low sperm count, it is more on the quantity issue, no? Quantity kung yung volume. It's not on the morphology, hindi yung itsura. Okay? For oligoasthenoteratozoopermia, dito naman, combination siya ng oligospermia, no? Low sperm count, combination of oligospermia, asthenozoospermia, and teratozoospermia. So it's combination of the two. So it signifies that the abnormality is actually in all three sperm characteristic, not with morphology. So, ang correct answer natin dito is letter C, which is yung teratozoospermia. Teratozoospermia kasi is refers to the condition where there is a fewer than 30% spermatozoa but have a normal morphology. Pero may fewer yung spermatozoa pero normal naman yung itsura or morphology. Okay? So, this is actually a significant indicator of male infertility. So, significant indicator na to na infertile, no? Yung lalaki. Okay? Kasi, pag poor na, take note of this, pag hindi na maganda or yung morphology or yung itsura ng sperm ng mga males is hindi na maayos or abnormal na ba, it can actually affect yung ability nila na mag-penetrate and mag-fertilize ng egg. So, kung may problema na with the morphology, hindi na siya nakaka-fertilize din maayos na. Same goes with yung movement nila or motility nila. Pag hindi na yan nag-move, pwedeng mahihirapan na siya na makapunta sa egg cell. Okay? So, the correct answer with 69 is teratozoa. Last, which of the following may cause false positive fecal occult blood test? Easy lang to. Raw broccoli ba? Cauliflower, turnips, melons, aspirin. False positive ba? Fecal occult blood test. And the correct answer is letter E. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or all of this, nagkukos yan ng false positive fecal occult blood test. So, letter E po dapat yung answer nyo dito. Okay? We can end na our discussion or our